if you go to, well, if I can find it. Okay, yeah. If you go to the 690-00, where it says reference materials, about a third of the way down, okay? And you see 1,492,768. That's what they spent, no, that's what they brought in that year. Well, be last year. And then the 1,340,979 or 978 is what they spent. So Matt, you were asking about, you know, are they still, how do they, on their expenditures, are they over above and above? I said no, they always keep extra money in there so they don't go over budget on this. Now, if the chief or any of you guys from the EMS would like to talk, I mean, they're here, but that's kind of, I wanted you to know that they don't spend above what they already have in that fund. Okay, and if you notice, there's a couple of things in there that you guys purchased that it says purchased by the township, was that truck lift, which just shows up in here. So I mean, you know, that's the kind of money they bring in, and that's the kind of money they spend to keep the EMS fund going.
Well, and my question was, or I guess what I was getting at was I wanted to make sure that there was a little bit of carryover so that if something came up like these lifts, I mean, buying a truck as an emergency probably isn't a thing because they take a year to be built, but if something came up that
Yeah.
fund was, you know, they weren't spending it just because you felt like you needed to spend it, but that you were saving, you know, being judicious with the dollars, but still saving enough, having enough of a safety net that if some emergency came up or you needed something like these lifts, we were able to just go buy them.
Yep. So there are checks and balances built into the system. So after the budget every year is approved, it's just like every other budget. It's got to go through, I just had it when I was sitting there, DLGF.
DLGF.
Thank you. So the state looks at it, and they have to approve the budget as well. So they look at our projected income, and if we have a much larger budget than what we project, as far as the income coming in, we'll have to cut the budget. To the best of my knowledge, I think that's only happened one time over the last 20-plus years. Something else to keep in mind about this fund is the ordinance that oversees this fund specifically states that it's a very narrow category on what the money can be spent for. And the last thing that's important for everybody to remember is that this is a non-reverting fund. So if we do not spend the money does not go away. It just carries over to the following year. Again, the amount that we spend cannot exceed what we've budgeted on a year-to-year basis. So does that help?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, what I was getting at is if your forecasters, your assistants say, hey, Chief, we're going to need another ladder truck in 5 years.
Yep.
Do you budget this EMS fund so you withhold $250,000 each year so that
Yep.
you can just write a check for that?
Write a check. Typically, no. What we normally do, the engines, well, on the ambulances, typically we spread those out over a 5-year payment. I'm looking for a nod. Yep. 5-year payment. Engines are typically 10-year. And obviously, the apparatus is the most expensive high-ticket items that come out of the fund. And so we've actually got a spreadsheet, and it shows exactly when each engine or each ambulance is going to come off the books. And so we can we can forecast out in 2022, 2025, and we'll know exactly what our expenditures are going to be. One other item that most people probably wouldn't think about that comes out of this is the turnout gear. Because of the consistency of the ambulance fund, the fire gear actually has a 10-year shelf life. And after 10 years, it's not rated, it's not supposed to be used in an actual fire scenario. So we rotate every 5 years, and so the present gear that each firefighter is wearing at year 5 becomes the backup gear, and we purchase new gear. So we also bond that for 5 years. So as soon as the first set comes off the books, we immediately have purchased a second set, and then we continue on with the bond payments. That allows us to look out and forecast exactly what we need to budget. Obviously, there's a cost factor there for inflation, but typically we're pretty close.
Okay. Any other comments? Thank you, Chief. The next order of business is financial questions from the board. Paul,
I have none, thank you.
Matt,
None?
and I have none. Board comments. Paul,
Sorry I missed the last meeting, I was actually doing my real job, but here I am, back in the blue, so,
and we're glad you're here.
thank you.
Matt,
I've got nothing. Just special thanks to the fire department, everything you do, always.
Thanks to Telemon.
yes, very much so. We appreciate, when we see you come as a group, it's really neat, because I like the public to see more of you. Yes, Chief?
I apologize. I promise this will be the third and final time. I did want to recognize one other gentleman that's here with us tonight, and that is John Moriarty. John, on January the 11th, retired after 35 and a half years, 36 years with the Carmel Clay Fire Department. And John started doing this job back in 1981. And it was a very nice ceremony. For 35 of those 36 years, John performed in our community as Sparky for 35 years.
Good for you.
And so Sparky had to get a couple new hips, and so Sparky is no longer Sparky, but I just wanted for you to be able to see him and say hello. And John, we've been very blessed. He came back as a civilian member of the department, and now he's serving in a new role. He is our community liaison chief. So when we have special events or we have interview boards or you name it, there's about 10 different categories that John's helping oversee. And he's also working with a mentor program that we've started for our members. And so, but I just wanted to introduce John and bring your attention to it. So thank you.
Glad you're still working for us. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Did you introduce Sean tonight? I don't believe you did.
Sean, I'm not going back up there. Sean Sutton, he is the president of the Carmel Local 4444 Professional Firefighters Union. So great relationship, and it's worked out to everyone's benefit. So
One of the best in the nation.
Thank you.
Relationships,
yes.
not union best.
With that
Announcements, Doug?
Just one thing, I got an email, which I gave you earlier before the meeting, that as of March 1st,
Yep.
the home place annexation will be recorded. So the entire township will now be in the city as of March 1st, which is Thursday. Okay? Just wanted to tell everybody that.
Thank you.
That's it.
Paul, any other?
No, nothing.
Matt?
Now, I will say, in part of that, though, and this, I think there's more due diligence on the city's part, but there are still tiny, unrecorded parcels of land throughout Carmel. There are.
Is there really?
Yes. Because we went through this when the Parks Department tried to buy something not too long ago, and it's still these little pocket parcels that were never recorded in the city
Oh.
that are still, so somebody needs to go through and clean up all of the data entry and deeds to make sure that, you know.
Maybe we'll just mention Dixie. Oh, I didn't know that, because that was one of the things when Mayor Brainerd came in 96.
I
One of the
remember
biggest
that.
things was
Yeah.
to get these little islands out there into
Right.
the city.
And there's still some left. Some of them are
Still
just, some of them are just turn lanes on a road that,
Oh, my gosh.
where you've expanded the road but never did the proper right of
Oh,
way.
my gosh. Okay.
Is the mayor aware?
Oh, I'm sure he is. I mean, I'm sure it hasn't gone beyond him. I just want to make a point of it.
Well, don't stop your trucks if that little piece. Any other comments? May I have a motion for adjournment, please?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Thank you.
Hey, Chief.